Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to our budget community portfolio series for the month of June 2024, where every single month I deposit $100 into this brand new portfolio that we created from scratch, and then I use that money to invest in stocks with an update video every month to show you the progress. Of course, so if you want to stay completely up to date with every single trade and transaction that I make as soon as it happens every day, then you can get access to all of that information in our community Discord, which you can also join by supporting me either on Patreon or here on YouTube through the join button down below. And by the way, thank you to everyone that does support the channel that way. It means a lot to me because I really wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you very much for that. And if you want to go even above and beyond that, you can also support me by using any of the links down in the description where you can get free money just for signing up on SoFi or Robinhood and using my affiliate link down there to get some free stock, which is awesome. Anyway, with all of that said, let's jump into this month's update because I can't wait to share with you all of the stocks that I purchased last month, how every stock is performing so far in the portfolio, and what I plan to do this month here as well in June. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so here's the account where I now have a total balance of about $742. It might fluctuate a little throughout this video because the market was actually still open while I was taking these screenshots. But here's a few custom charts that I made so that it's easier to digest all of this information. And basically, we've now had this account for 7 full months. And after depositing $100 in each of those months, well, it's left us with $700 deposited, which means we are currently up around $42 or 6% on our portfolio so far. And if we exclude our cash portion, which is obviously stagnant, and instead we just look at our stock positions alone, well, we're actually up a little more at around 8% gain so far, which I do think is really good, especially for such a young portfolio like this. Speaking about cash though, our cash balance currently sits at $176, which means we have a cash ratio of only around 24%. And I do feel that that's a little too low for my taste. Now, it does always climb at the start of every month because I deposit a fresh $100, but as the portfolio does get larger, those cash reserves are going to get a little harder and harder to maintain if we want to keep buying stocks at the same rate. So I actually made an executive decision to deposit a little more this month going into June, but we'll talk more about that towards the end of the video because first I want to finish up here with the update on May and all the stocks that we picked up last month. Now, as always, I ran a few polls to get your guys' feedback on what stocks you'd like to see added. It was only a few though, which I do regret because I want to be doing more polls here in June and in the future get more of your guys' opinions. But the ones that we did run include this one here from YouTube, where I asked which of our 5 largest holdings should we buy more of, to which 30% of you voted for Google as the top choice, with all the others actually following in the same order of size in Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, and Medtronic. Then on Discord, I asked which brand new stock should we add to the portfolio, to which 42% of voters chose Baidu, followed by General Motors in second place, then PayPal in third, Visa and C3 tied for fourth, and APD in last place. So we went ahead and added Baidu to the portfolio. I'll show you in just a second. And then back on YouTube, I asked which of our 5 highest dividend yielding stocks should we buy more of, to which 35% voted for Pfizer, followed by Verizon at 22%, Bristol Myers at 17%, and then Medtronic and Extra Space Storage came in last place. So in total, we spent $60 last month. Again, that was a little low because we're starting to run, I would say, a little low on our cash reserves, but next month should be better. Anyway, the biggest purchases that I made were in Baidu and Google at $15 a piece. Of course, Baidu won that poll, so we added that, but Google is just my favorite stock in the entire market, so I'm always buying bigger amounts of that one. And that was followed by Meta at $10, another very strong and profitable company. Then I spent $5 each on Disney. I like them at their current price. Microsoft, one of my favorite core stocks. VeriSign, it's one of the newer additions to the portfolio. SoFi, it's a great fintech. Amazon, one of my favorites. Medtronic, a great dividend, great valuation. Verizon, awesome dividend. Pfizer, great dividend too. Palantir, huge future potential, and also Bristol Myers, another pretty big dividend there as well. Like I said though, overall it was a little bit of a weaker month in terms of purchases. In fact, it was actually half as much as the previous month that we spent in April, which was actually a record month there, so it may not be a super fair comparison, but the point is that I do want to be buying more stocks in future months. So we're going to need to make some adjustments in order to do that. And again, I'll talk more about that in just a second. But first, let's just finish up here with a quick overview of every position in the portfolio and how much I'm either up or down on each one of them. All right, so here's a screenshot of every single stock held in this community portfolio. This is the public portfolio. The ones in green are positive, the ones in red are negative, but I converted this into a pie chart so it's easier to see. Obviously, we have a lot of stocks now. It gets a little cluttered there. But as you can see here, Google remains the leader of our pack with almost a fifth of the entire portfolio, which I love to see. And I also love that Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta make up the remainder of the top four. Each of those are amazing companies, very strong, great financials, lots of future potential. So I like all of those. And each of those other ones, they're only in the single digits there. So I will definitely be looking to add more to those core positions. I want to have those be, pretty large. Now, we have kind of in the middle of the pack here is what I would kind of call these. These are 5% each of Pfizer, SoFi, Medtronic, NextEra Energy, Verizon, Extra Space Storage, EXR, and Alibaba. Many of those, by the way, have amazing dividends. So I'm really glad that we have some great names there to help build our portfolio over time with some extra dividend payments. I think that's very important. Then we have kind of the smaller bunch. All of these make up around 3% each in Disney, BMY, Tesla, Nvidia, Tyson, Palantir, and Verisign. It's a good mix there of some value, some growth, and even some dividends too among that bunch as well. So I like to see that. And then the two smallest positions are going to be in Baidu and JP Morgan Chase, who I'll probably try to increase in the future too. In terms of how much I'm either up or down on each position though, well, Nvidia and NextEra Energy are by far our smartest pickups that we've made because they are up a whopping 60% and 35% respectively. However, they're also two of our smaller positions. So I would put actually more emphasis in terms of evaluating this chart here on Google and Amazon, who are each up 21% and 10% respectively. And that's really good performance for what are essentially our two largest holdings. So I'm really happy about that. Love to see it. We also have tons of other stocks here in the green too, though, mostly by smaller amounts, but still great to see. With the only 4 stocks in the red being Meta, which I definitely want to buy more of while we're still negative on it, as well as Verisign, SoFi, and Baidu. Baidu is currently the worst performer at almost a 10% decline. But just to finish up here, the portfolio climbed a little to $749 while the market was open. So after adding a fresh $100 for the month of June, it brought us up to $849, which raised our cash ratio from 24% up to now 33%, which is a little better. But like I said, this is still just too low for me because the problem here is that as our stocks increase, as our stock positions get larger and we put more money into them, well, it's going to get harder and harder to keep cash on the sidelines because at this rate, even if we spend the maximum budget of like $100 per month on stocks, well, our cash position would actually stay the same while our stocks get larger. And so our cash ratio will keep getting smaller and smaller because of that until eventually we're just kind of forced to spend less on stocks. That's something I don't want to do. And that's actually something that, of course, happened last month. I spent $120 in April, and then I was forced to cut that all the way down to $60 in May. It was half the amount because if I would have spent more, well, our cash would have gotten more depleted. And if we ever have a month where we see a lot of good deals out there in the market and we actually want to spend more than $100, well, we'd have to dip into our cash reserves even more to do that. So I just feel like we need more cash here. That's just the reality of it. I like to be active in the market. I like to be buying a lot of stocks. And on SoFi, the smallest amount I can buy at a time is $5. So it kind of limits me with what I can do. I want to be buying more. I want to be making more transactions. So we're going to need more cash in order to do that. So we need more cash, we need more firepower. And look, the portfolio is doing great so far. Thankfully, we've had no issues arise. Most of our purchases have turned out to be great decisions so far. So I'm making an executive decision this month because things are going so well. As a portfolio manager, I'm deciding it's okay for us to deposit an extra $100 this month. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's add a little firepower to our portfolio. So that's what I did here. And as a result, it raised our cash ratio even more from 33% up to now 40% with a total balance of close to $1,000 now, which is awesome to see. We've barely had this thing for like half a year on a tiny little budget every month, and we're already at almost $1,000. That's freaking awesome. So look, going forward, I think eventually we're probably going to have to increase our budget a little for every month. So let me know if that's something that you guys would be okay with. I feel like the community is a little split on that. Some people want to see a bigger budget. Some people like how it's very small, kind of budget oriented. But I just think that in the future, we're going to need some more cash there to be able to make more purchases and build this portfolio up a little bit more. So I might run a poll in the future, see how the community votes on that. I think we could maybe increase the budget kind of slowly, gradually over time. Even just like an extra 20 or 50 bucks a month can actually go a long way. So that's something that I might be looking to do in the future. But with the extra cash that I just added, we can now spend a little more this month here as well, which I'm really excited about because I want to run some more polls, get more of your guys' favorite stocks into this portfolio. And speaking of buying stocks, well, a few buying ideas that I have already for this month. I think Amazon and Meta are two obvious choices. Amazon is falling a bit behind Google at this point in our portfolio. So I think adding a little more weight there would be great. I also want to keep buying Google though, because that's just my favorite stock. I want to make sure it remains dominant in the portfolio. And then also Meta, we're actually negative on that. And I think that's a solid value at these levels. Super profitable company, giant user base. Want to make sure that we have as good of a cost basis as we can get on that one. And then I also want more dividends. Dividends are always going to be important here. So, Verizon, Medtronic, EXR, those are all great options to add more to. They're not even up a lot in the portfolio, so we could add more. I'm also going to evaluate on anything that we're down on and look to lower our cost bases on those as well, especially VeriSign, maybe SoFi, Baidu, really like those stocks long term. And then also I actually just put out my 3 stocks for June video. I don't want to spoil that too much in case anyone didn't watch it, but one thing that I will say here really quick is that I think Cisco is a fantastic value right now with also a very strong dividend. So get ready for a new poll asking which new stock should be added, and Cisco will absolutely be an option on that one. I really hope you guys vote for it. And if you don't vote for it, then expect it to be in like every poll going forward, because I'm going to keep running it in the polls until you guys vote for it, until we can add it to the portfolio, because I really like that one. But there's also other great pickups that we can make. I mean, PayPal, APD. What else? I like Snap-on. I like General Motors. There's tons of great options out there. Even still, with the market up so much, there's a lot of great stocks out there. So get ready for a fun month. We're going to be very active, lots of polls, lots of stock purchases. I can't wait for it. But in the meantime, drop any comments you have, any questions, and especially any suggestions. I always want to hear from you guys, let you have some influence over this portfolio. So let me know if there's anything you want to see with it. But thanks again for stopping by, my friends. I hope that you're all doing well, and I will catch you in the next video. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.